Welcome to World History with Mr. Giese. In this episode, we will be discussing what life was like in the emerging cities during the Industrial Revolution. We'll be answering the following questions. How did cities grow and change in the late 1800s? And what developments affected education, leisure, and the arts? In the final episode of our look into the Industrial Revolution, we'll be examining what everyday life in cities was like during the late 1800s of the Industrial Revolution. Up to this point, people in Europe and the United States had been experiencing a time of urbanization. This would be the time when the proportion of people moving and living in the cities started to grow. They did this because it was closer to their jobs now that they were no longer able to farm. As more and more people moved to the cities, it became more crowded and living spaces were few and far between. Living situations worsened because some families shared living spaces with one or often many more than one family. As this happened, space was harder to find, and steel provided an option to concrete. This allowed buildings to be built up like a skyscraper rather than out. As cities became too crowded and people started to earn more, people started to look for less congested areas. Suburbs started to emerge right outside of the cities. People who could and would move to these areas. In order to help with commuting, public transportation made it easier for those from the suburbs to come to town. During the 1800s, increased industrialization created a need for a more educated workforce. Factories needed more people to manage the new factories who had skills that required more education. Newspapers and the telegraph led to additional opportunities for news and education. This allowed journalism to become a career. Now things were improving, but not everyone saw the benefits of industrialization. Not all social classes were given the same opportunities, but those that were earning a higher income could allow their families, usually the male members of the family, to become more educated. Women, especially in poorer families, were not offered the same opportunities. Most countries even cut off education for women after elementary school. People in the cities could earn more money, and with the new money, they didn't have to work really long hours anymore. This gave them more leisure time to spend it doing what they wanted to rather than what they needed to. Cities did improve over time. As trial and error often does, problems with the cities offered a chance for leaders to improve the city infrastructure. This proved to improve city conditions as well. By now, you've heard the reasons why the Industrial Revolution emerged in Great Britain and how it spread throughout the world, the technological advances that occurred, and how cities grew because of industrialization. Now it's time to review your notes and let us know when you're ready to take your assessment over the Industrial Revolution.